Hi and welcome to this podcast with me, Geeta Joshi. I'm here today with Remi Rough. Welcome, Remi.
Thank you very much.
It's lovely to be in your studio here. It's so quiet.
It's a Sunday.
It's beautiful, but it's such a nice space, so much light and everything.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
Yeah. So I know your work mostly from the street art that you've done, or murals. Actually, no, probably going back before that was Daily Goods. That was a really great.
That's right.
Would you call that a show? Because you'd actually done it on,
So Carter, who has since sold Daily Goods,
he has.
He and I just became friends just from going in, and it's all quite serendipitous actually. We'd moved out of our house in Peckham to have renovations done, and we'd moved to Camberwell. So we had this little Camberwell life for about 6 months, which, I mean, it doesn't sound like it's actually that far away, but they're quite different areas. Mm-hmm. And my wife was quite sick at the time, and she'd had a big operation. She had a hysterectomy, and she was recovering, and she was, quite fragile. And so we would do these gentle walks down to Daily Goods, and we just got to know Carter, and chatting, and he said, I'd love to get you in here, but you're totally out of my league. And I was so upset by that. I was like, what are you talking about? Let's do it. Let's do it. We'll do a mural. I'll do 6 or 7 pieces, and we'll put it out.
That's so funny, because even when I saw it, and I don't know if you know actually, but I did some work with Camberwell Arts. So I do know that, yeah. So I've been working with them for a few years. At the moment, I just do their Open Studios program, but when we saw that, you'd done this sort of takeover of the space, because you'd actually painted on the walls as well. It wasn't just framed artwork. We were like, wow, it's got Remi Rough in there.
Yeah,
so it's
that's
more of a celebrity than you think, perhaps.
But that's where people start. When you start as an artist, you do shows in cafes. I mean, I did.
For sure, yeah.
So I thought there was something nice about coming full circle and doing that. And, not being arrogant about it. It's nice to share what you do with people who love it and people who don't know it, and in areas that you live, I think. And I never do anything in my own area, which is, quite weird, because I'm always, to be honest, I really do stuff in London. London is not my market. I'm always travelling. So I'd say 90% of my work's abroad. So,
has that changed a bit in the last couple of years? Obviously, you had Daily Goods, you've done the commission down at Peckham level.
I'd say not even a couple of years. I'd say probably in the last sort of 6 months, I've had people approach me, and I've had small things. I've had a couple of things in group shows in galleries like Stolen Space. I used to work with Scream Gallery, do you know Scream? Yeah. But when they closed down, that was kind of my London gallery gone. And I didn't really feel the necessity to fill that gap. It wasn't like I was like, oh my God, I've got to fill the London gap. There was so much going on. I just got on with what I had to get on with. Now I'm kind of a little bit, it could be quite nice to have a London gallery.
But you still do other commissions in London?
I do. Nowhere near as many as I do abroad, though. It literally is quite a small percentage.
How do you find your gigs abroad then? Are you invited by people, or is it your galleries are acting as agents?
Some of the galleries. So there's 2 galleries I work with in Europe. One in Paris called Magda Danis Gallery. And she's a really interesting woman. She's amazing. She used to work for one of the big classic Paris galleries. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. But she told her boss, I think she was 17 or something, said, I'm going to open my own gallery. And he laughed at her like, you silly little girl. And, she now owns a gallery in Paris, a gallery in Shanghai. She had a pop-up gallery in London for nearly 18 months. She's planning another one. She's amazing. She does museum shows. She took me out to Singapore for a museum show in January.
Amazing.
So she puts a lot of work and projects my way. The gallery I work with in Germany, in Saarbrücken, are called Zimmerling and Jungfleisch, and they're really good. They put a lot of stuff my way.
So where was that?
Saarbrücken.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of southwest, quite near the French border, quite near Strasbourg. And they sell a lot of works to German and French collectors because they're near the border. But they also hook up quite a lot of commissions. They have a huge mural program that they're doing as well. So they're pretty cool.
But then I'm guessing you're getting invited directly by
it's all
people
manner
commissioning
of things.
work,
All manner of things. Next month I'm going to San Diego to paint a mural at a music festival, which should be fun. And then I fly directly from there to Halifax, Nova Scotia, to do kind of an weirdly non-art related project for the Canadian Tourist Board.
Do you get to take your family when you travel?
Sometimes, not always. My wife is a very busy businesswoman as well, so it's kind of, it's quite hard. And my daughter's 14 and has like a million things going on, so sometimes. I did a really nice project for Art Basel in Hong Kong at the beginning of this year.
Yeah. What was that?
So I was commissioned by the MTR, who are like the Tube in Hong Kong, a company called Swire, who own loads of buildings and Cathay Pacific and massive developers, and an architectural firm called IDAS. And the three of them had sort of collaborated to bring me over and design an installation to go in one of the stations. So it's like a 180 metre long installation,
like a tunnel,
both walls.
Sort of side. Tunnel if you go through into the tube or something like that.
So it's just like a walk-through tunnel.
So, I mean, obviously they sound huge. Have you always done like really large-scale work, or did you move up from like 2 metre paintings to?
No, I mean, I started as a graffiti artist, so I would paint walls all day long. It's no big deal to me. Even at age 16, I was painting, 20-foot long walls.
Right.
And then you just scale up. You just start scaling up, and then suddenly they're like 10 stories. And you just deal with it, and you just, there's always that moment of looking at it and going, oh my God, how are we going to do that? And then you just start, and you just get on with it, and then before you know it, it's finished, and you go to the pub.
So what about then the smaller pieces? Because we're sitting in your studio, and there's like a 2 metre painting on the wall next to us.
So weirdly, they take even longer.
But did that sort of work follow, or were you also doing smaller things in your early days?
I was doing smaller things. I think I kind of like the idea that artwork should be quite sizable. Mm-hmm. I do smaller works. I rarely sell them via galleries. Either people come to the studio, or I put very small paper pieces on my website sometimes. Mm-hmm. All the larger works pretty much go out to galleries. A couple of these are going to be shown in London in October at the House of St Barnabas.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's a great place. I've learned work there.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I'm doing that with an artist called Peter Lamb, who actually works sometimes with Ian Davenport, and another artist called Charlie Peters, who is amazing. And she is one of the heads of courses at UAL. Okay. So yeah, the three of us doing a little 3-person show, because there's quite a nice sort of conversation between all the work we do. So mine is very graphic, very geometric, very clean, whereas Charlie Peters has a very geometric and very clean sort of aptitude to her work, but also has a kind of coarse intervention into it with very loose gestural bits, and kind of she uses like kind of spray can, not motifs, kind of trails sometimes. Really hard to describe, but there's a looseness to them, even within the kind of regimented geometry of them. And then Pete's work is kind of a lot more textural and loose, but he contains them in really amazing frames and shapes. So they kind of had this really interesting sort of triangular conversation.
Yeah. Oh, I'll have to go to that then. So that's in October, did you say?
Yeah, October 17th, I think, yeah. And we're going to produce a little catalogue for it, which Charlie Peters has written an essay, with us all helping as well. Pete's been quite involved in that. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
So that's your next London show, because like you said, you don't really have many London...
That is the next London show. That's the first London show I've done since 2015.
Wow.
Which was with Scream, which was the first London show I'd done since 2009. So yeah, I don't really do... I mean, the little groups, I've been in a group show or two, but solo shows are big shows. That's kind of
And does your work get taken to fairs by the other galleries that you mentioned?
Yes, I've had a couple of stuff go to fairs. We had work in Paris recently at the Paris Art Fair with Spearstra Gallery, who's the gallery I work with in Switzerland. A couple of others I can't think of at the moment. But yeah, it does it's always getting shot out to places, and some comes back, some doesn't. Kind of depends.
So what do you spend your time on more in terms? So would that be the commissions?
It's I think it's a very even three-way split between painting commissions, painting in the studio, and designing the commissions, and kind of doing the day-to-day, I guess, admin of designing artwork for whatever it needs to be. So a lot of the kind of commissions have to be, it sounds quite trite, but they have to kind of be designed.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're, what's the word? They're not facades, they're hand-painted. A lot of them are hand-painted murals. Some aren't. I've just done 2 commissions that are actually stickers. They were designed, completely graphically designed. Yeah. The one I did in Hong Kong was all vinyl, 3M vinyl, and I just did the stairs at Wembley, which is all vinyl as well. And
why is that then? Is that just because that's the material suited to that?
It's suited, it's very hard wearing, and it's removable if and when they want to remove it.
Okay.
It's also repairable. With the one in Hong Kong, it's permanent, but if something happens to one of the panels, just take it off, print a new one, put it back on.
I see.
It's not going to fade because it's underground, so there's no sunlight on it, and so it's easily fixed. But yeah, so there's kind of 3 sort of working situations that I kind of turn around constantly.
Keep you busy all the time.
Yeah.
So talk to me about repairs, because I know you were on a jaunt that you had to go into town to repair some work.
Very occasionally somebody, drags a ladder across a wall in a building or something like that, and I get called up to come and fix it. So today's job was a commission I did for a company called OpenText. And it's their boardroom, their meeting room, and it's kind of like an immersive space, and they kind of glassed it off, so it's literally a singular space that you kind of shut the door and you're completely encased in. And there was just this one bit that was damaged that I had to repair. It literally took me 10 minutes, but to actually physically do it.
It's all part of the contract, I guess, at the beginning, right? It's like...
Yeah. So it just depends. I mean, most things, like even the murals, I kind of like them to just deteriorate. That's kind of part of their life.
Yeah.
To fade and deteriorate, the colours change over time, and I love that. I love the, going back to see
when they're weathered and things outdoors.
Yeah, I did one I did a water tower. No, it wasn't a water. It was, an electrical tower, like an old, really tatty electrical tower in Santander in Spain, in the countryside. It's just this concrete monolith with a little roof.
Yeah.
And then above the roof, all the wires, and so they all kind of connect to wherever they need to go. And I did this thing during an exhibition that I had running in Santander. And somebody sent me a picture of it recently, and it was so faded. Like it was a really strong golden yellow, the bulk of it, and it faded to almost like a vanilla.
Oh.
And it looked great. I was like, that's amazing. Yeah, I was really happy with it. I was like, that's fine. It's still there, that's the cool thing.
And what about your style? How has that evolved over the years? Because you've got kind of quite a recognisable graphic style. Or has it not? Maybe, did you always work in that?
Well, no. When I started making art, I was painting very classic graffiti art. So, like letters. I was painting letters. And it was very typographic, but there was a lot of kind of space and in between negative and kind of positive spaces within those letters. And, when you do something for 25 years, you kind of just begin to get bored of it and you kind of want to go elsewhere. And to be honest, I was never truly comfortable within that world. I was always wanting to break out of it and do abstract things, and I do that. And the thing is, for all its intensive rebellion and subversiveness, it's actually really conformist. It's one of the most horribly conformist subcultures you can be involved in, and if you do anything which is considered not part of the better part of the culture, you get blasted. So I was always a little bit kind of wanting to break out of it, but then part of me was like, I better not, because you're in it and you have to conform.
And did you have a name for yourself in that?
Well, the name was just Rough. That was it. And then just, you know, two friends of mine actually always used to call me Remi Rough. And so it just kind of became my name. But yeah, so I guess what happened with the letters is they started fragmenting, and I would take elements of those letters and I would take the sort of colour codes from those letters and I would bring them into a more contemporary space, and I would just fracture them and just pull them apart, simplify bits. And at the time I was looking at a lot of art by Ben Nicholson, Mondrian, you know, very regimented kind of geometric art, which really piqued my interest. I was like literally blown away by everything I picked up and was looking at. And I'm not educated in art. I've never been to art school.
Okay. So you were kind of seeing it with fresh, mature eyes.
Yeah,
in a way.
No one's told me how to do things. I've just done them. So, which, you know, I guess there's pros and cons of that, and it is what it is. And I don't regret not going to art school. But I just do what I do, and I still manage to research, and I still manage to educate my mind and my sort of visual fodder, if you will. And I was looking at so many things, and it just all started informing the direction that I wanted to go in. And I very much wanted to create something that was original, which I know is very, very hard in this day and age. I wanted it to be mine. I have a very strong belief that you should own things. And in a world where people, you know, on social media will do something that looks exactly like your work and then write inspired by next to it, if you're lucky. I just feel you need to own things. So I work very hard to make sure that what I do is mine. Even though I'm influenced by all these different things, they're not necessarily the ideas of what I've learned aren't going into the artwork. It's more the kind of overarching aesthetics that are going into the artwork. Yeah,
so but the output is like purely your own visual language. Is that the thing? Because that's
that's what I'm trying to do.
Because that's the thing that we each have that is unique, isn't it? When you sort of talk to artists, or you know, you're given a brief. And then, you know, 10 artists will produce 12 different things, right? Because of
totally.
You know, that visual language being their unique voice, I guess, or output.
I mean, I think the strongest thing that I'm able to put into the work is that I know when to stop, which I think is a very important lesson in making art, because some people never do. I mean, I know brilliant artists, friends of mine, especially in the world of graffiti, they would just start something and it would get to a point now, oh my God, that's amazing. And you know that they're going to get, that tipping point is going to come, and then it's going to start going down into complete like chaos. And it always really bugged me, because I thought you just have to know when to stop. So I'm quite good at just knowing when to.
It's quite controlled as well. I mean, like looking at some of these on the wall, you know, they seem very controlled, like on that pink where it fades and things.
Yeah,
I really like that. Do you? How much of that, like a panel like that, would be created on paper or whatever beforehand, or in how much?
That I actually did a study. So I do a lot of studies on paper, just to kind of get the forms right and to get the dynamics right. Because, you know, with these kind of shapes and forms, you can very easily get them wrong. They have to sit in a certain way, and they have to have a certain heaviness and a certain weight.
Yeah.
And also a certain imbalance. I think it's very important to have a balance and an imbalance. I mean, I'm always, you know, really obsessed with the kind of the negative space as well, because, you know, there's a lot of the surface is, a lot of that is uncovered and not painted, and that's quite an important aspect of that painting.
And do they always stay? So do you? I mean, will you paint where the wood area, the obvious negative spaces?
No, that's all. That's a finished painting. That's a finished painting. All these four are completely finished. That hasn't been varnished. That's the only thing that hasn't had. These three are all varnished and done.
I love that, actually. Yeah, just, like really playing with the materiality, because things like some of that orange and pink has such an artificiality about it, and then you've got the flatness of it.
Yeah, but you also have an organic sort of edge as well, because it's wood grain. And, within my world growing up, it was all about surface. You were forever painting steel trains or concrete walls. So, these surfaces were constantly informing what you do and how the paint reacted on them, which was always different.
Oh, of course,
you paint on steel, it was very different to how, it would react when you paint on a concrete wall that has, like 150 layers of spray paint. Like I've been to...
Flaking and all that.
Yeah, I've been to some of these kind of walls, and literally you can peel off and there's like that much, and you can see all the kind of layers of paint that have been there through the decades. So, surface is a really important thing to me. And it's taken me quite a while to get to a place where I'm very comfortable with surface. I still paint canvas, but even with that, I like to paint like raw herringbone linen, so it's the surface is still...
You're seeing the grain through it.
Yeah, it's really strong. Yeah. And there's this balance between the really tight geometry of the paint and the kind of looseness and organic feel of the material that is on there, which I love. I love that. Don't want to say juxtaposition, but that.
Are your canvases you're also using spray paint, or is that
mixture? They're all a mixture of acrylic, graphite, and spray paint. So
that's true of the paperwork as well?
The paperwork is just graphite and spray paint.
Okay. And your paperwork, so you're only selling those directly?
Only the small ones, only the tiny ones. Just because it's a small thing. Through in galleries, they're just like a little personal thing that I put on my website.
Oh, nice. Well, I know that they've had a lot of attention. When I've spoken to people, they say, "Oh, did you see the thing?" Remi's little. Well, we thought they were prints actually, but they're originals, aren't they?
Yeah. We sold all of those now. They're all gone. But I think it's nice to have those organic surfaces. In the paper as well. The paper I use is handmade, so it still has that kind of deckled edge and. I'll pull a couple of out and show you in a sec.
So where are your favourite places to see artwork?
It's interesting.
So do you get time when you're travelling to go and see whatever?
I do
whether
try.
It's public spaces or galleries or...
I do try. I love the Met in New York. That's an amazing place. MoMA in San Francisco, amazing. I love Tate Modern. I love going to Tate Modern. I try and go there at least once every few months, just to go and even just to walk around.
Yeah.
I think the Pyramid Tate is amazing. I don't think they've had a show strong enough to hold its own within that space yet.
And what about another commission for you then? What would you be looking for? What would be an ideal kind of thing? Because obviously you've done like big public spaces and things like that.
I don't know. I mean, I love being interactive with spaces. I love to do things within space and to change space.
Have you done floors as well? Or did I? Maybe not you.
I haven't done a floor. I've kind of done like installations with material that lie on the floor that are still folded but very coarse material. I'm always open to different ideas and different things. Weirdly, when I was in Hong Kong, I did this commission which was printed on this tunnel. And Jim Lambie was over as well, and he'd done a similar thing, which was printed on the floor. It was all part of the same commission. So we were chatting about how he'd done the floor, I'd done the walls. So we should do a swap, just like integrate it. But that was, it's quite interesting. I think the kind of scale that I can work to, I mean, I can pretty much adapt to any kind of space, big or small.
Yeah.
The only thing is just the logistics, how you get it printed, how you get it made, and there's always a way. Have you seen some of those really interesting basketball courts that have been done recently?
Yeah.
So that's amazing. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, so who was that? William LeChance and people, yeah.
Amazing. So I mean, there's so much scope for public art now.
Yes, I think communities, councils, and all of them are more open to sort of seeing artwork in what were not so traditional. There was the separation of things like the sport being in the park, but now and the art in the park was whatever, a sculpture or a panel or something. But actually now it's they're much more open to integrating all of that. Yeah, it's great.
Actually, going back to what you were asking about really good spaces to see art, I think one of the best shows I've seen in a long time was Katarina Gross at South London Art Gallery.
That was really good.
That was amazing. I went about 5 times to see that.
I went a few times.
Yeah, I kept finding new things, and I really enjoyed it. And it's interesting because it's not a million miles away from the kind of materials I use. It's just a very, very different activation of it, and I just loved it. It was great.
She's great. She's all over the world now, isn't she? She's really, I think I was in Rome a while ago, and she just had a show there and things. Yeah,
I've seen it a lot that she's doing, but I've yet to see anything as good as that. That was just amazing. She's going to have to really work to top that one. It's a very, very good show, and a great space as well.
Yeah, I mean, how she was able to take over the whole space, that they really sort of, surrendered that. That was awesome. So I saw that you have got some collaboration brewing with Michael Petrie over at Mocca. Tell me about that.
I have. So I was called in, I was summoned for a meeting.
Oh, I do like Michael. He's so fun.
Yeah, I do as well. And we're doggy people, so we always see each other walking our dogs. And I went to see him, and we had a little chat, and he asked me if I would like to do a show. They'd never done a show with something painted onto the walls of the gallery.
Wow.
So I'll be the first person to paint the walls of the gallery, which I'll be doing this November.
And how long is that going to be up for?
I think it's there till January, because they have quite December period, so I think it's going to be there for quite a while.
Oh, that's going to be amazing, because that is a nice little space, actually.
It is.
And then what about that bookcase on the wall? You're going to paint over that, or they're going to get that panelled up for you?
I can't tell you, it's secret.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's all secret.
Oh, I'm excited.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. We've the plans are in motion. We're going to do it quite a bit before the show so that we can photograph it for the catalogue and stuff. But it should be good. And again, it's like the first thing I've done in South London other than the show I did at Daily Goods, so it's kind of quite nice.
It is. God,
and it's like about a 5-minute walk from my house. So the commute will be great.
So your next show is at House of St Barnabas in October.
Yeah.
And then Mocca opening in November on Bellenden Road in Peckham. And where can people find you online? They can find me at remirough.com and on Instagram as Remi Rough. And that's pretty much... That's it? That's it, I think. Brilliant. I will take some pictures and put the links in the show notes as well. Thank you, Remi, so much for your time. Welcome, it's been lovely to chat with you. Likewise.